what a great time to be a Giant, be a fan of the Giants.
Like, we have something going here. We're building something special, and you can see it from the outside and inside. It's even more beautiful.
Reflecting on everything that got me here, just to see that uniform, and I watched. That's the team I watched the most growing up because my dad was a Giants fan. So
once a Giant, always a Giant. For me, it's only a Giant.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I'm your host, Art Stapleton, and we might as well call today's show All In with Don Bosco because we've got the Tommies here. If you weren't watching the preseason opener with the New York Giants on Friday night in Detroit, then have we got a show for you. Tommy DeVito, quarterback, Tommy Sweeney, tight end, both played at Don Bosco here in North Jersey. We are always a born and bred podcast in North Jersey. So we're going to talk to both Tommies, talk about their experience and what they've been going through. So fellas, good fellas, I guess, is that the joke now? But thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. So let's go back a little bit to Friday night. And, obviously, Tommy DeVito first. The idea that this was your first opportunity to be a pro and to be out there in that stadium. What was that experience like? Did you take moments before the game knowing that this was going to be the one you remember?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the talk between DJ and Tyrod. Like, you're always going to remember your first game. So, pregame, I did go out and kind of just observe and kind of take everything in. And, once it was game time, you're just playing football like you were again as a kid. And really was just there to just enjoy the moment, be in it, and just have fun.
So you're in the huddle, you're in that situation, it's now your time, Tyrod's done, Daniel didn't play, obviously, and you got this guy in the huddle with you. Take me through that play, and did you know was that your first read, or, what was the reaction? First, I'll ask you, Tommy, and then obviously Sweeney can go after that.
Yes, it was a sudden change. So, we were on the field, everything was happening real fast in the red zone. Obviously, we're trying to score points off that. We called the play. Everybody gets lined up, and I see the two to the left, it's Tommy and Cage, and it just so happened that the defense played in a certain look, and Tommy was my first read on that and was there for a touchdown.
Now, Sweeney, you're not – I'll probably just call you Sweeney and DeVito at this point because we'll be going back and forth.
No,
but
all good.
Again, Jersey thing, right? We call each other by last names.
That's right.
This obviously isn't your first rodeo. You've been in this league now this is year 5. Mm-hmm. Take me inside the huddle for him. You know what this moment means to him and a young quarterback. To be in that situation and through your eyes as, he's coming to you, what are you thinking in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw the same thing football-wise, obviously. Got a good look. It's one thing being a young guy, but it's another being a young quarterback because everything goes through you and you have to tell 10-year vets what they're supposed to do. And, you got a whole different type of thing. And he's done a great job with it. So, I know that's what it is. I don't actually know what it's like. I've had my, doing my 111th, but the quarterback's kind of do a little more than that. So, he came in, he handled it well, and, his poise was there and called the play, and it was capped out it up, and it was perfect.
So, I guess in that situation, it's just catch the ball for your purposes.
Yeah, he put an absolute dime right over the guy's head. It was all you do is put the hands out.
When did it start setting in that it was you guys? Because Tommy DeVito, you joked when you came into the press conference how you and I talked at the beginning of camp, the idea of imagine if you throw a touchdown to Sweeney. So you kind of knew it after the fact, but as it's happening, I know the emotions of the game. Did you kind of have perspective in that moment of what you guys just were able to do?
For me, not in that direct moment until I came off to the sideline. Like, we were celebrating the end zone, came off the sideline, and they were like, Bosco to Bosco, and I was like, oh, yeah, right? Like, it was. That's when it really hit me, and then obviously that's when I said, like, press conference authority, I'm like, oh, Art's going to love this. And then I was like, oh, I know social media is going to take this one for sure. Just Tommy, the whole high school deal, and, they ran with it.
So let's talk the high school days a little bit. DeVito was a freshman. Sweeney was a senior. You obviously knew each other. You saw each other in practice. But it wasn't like you were thrown out there and he was a top target for you that year, his senior year. What do you remember? I'll go Sweeney first. I know I've asked you this before, but what do you remember about Tommy DeVito, the kid from Cedar Grove, coming in there as a freshman for Bosco?
I remember I said it to you before. It's just kind of gunslinger coming in. We always had guys, as the years goes. There's always a couple freshmen that come in and practice with the older guys in the beginning, of camp that we have. Kind of 2 camps there, but and so he was one of those guys, and he came in and he came in and he played well. It was kind of a long time ago now, maybe
right.
2000. Almost 10 years now, but he came in, he played well. It's kind of like the quarterback at the time, Frank Nuttall, done the same thing. It's a big jump from 8th grade to high school. It's a big jump from college to pro, but 8th grade to high school is at that age is a huge thing, and obviously at Bosco where it's kind of a big thing. So that's really what I remember. He came in and threw the ball around, and obviously gave me a good quarterback room, kind of the family there, Krusco, Nuttall, and DeVito, kind of the Italian brethren there, and then obviously got his championship after that, so worked well.
What about you, Tommy, in terms of coming in as a freshman? I mean, your established program. Take a little of my history. I covered Don Bosco as a columnist and a beat writer before I even came up to cover the pros and cover the Giants. I covered the first Bosco championship over St. Peter's after they lost in 05. 06, Matt Sims came back, and that team with Justin Tratow won a Super Bowl championship here, obviously. Covered the first game Bosco ever played out of state, which was Centerville, Ohio. So I know the history of Bosco. For you coming to Bosco as a freshman, what was that like for you as a quarterback to come into an established program? And do you think some of that experience all the way back then helps you, now when you come into one of the storied franchises in the NFL?
For sure. I think even going back to the decision I made to go to Bosco, right? It's either if you choose you're going to go to a private school, it's either usually Bosco or Bergen or Joe's. So for me, it was honestly between 3. It was between Bosco, Bergen, and DePaul, because I went to DePaul for my 8th grade year. And if I was going to stay there, if I was going to go to Bosco, it was kind of like college all over again, just talking, figuring out what I wanted to do. And ultimately, I chose Bosco because of the establishment and because of, the national schedule that we were playing. I love DePaul, but DePaul wasn't playing 3-4 out-of-state games a year and was going to get me ready for college like Bosco was. So chose Bosco, and then ultimately, that got me ready for that because I was traveling. I remember my junior year, we went to Vegas. We played Bishop Gorman. We were there for a week. You're not even really doing that in college, right? So that experience alone helped me prepare for the years ahead. And then just being in a program like that, where my freshman year, I went in, like you said, I was in a very good quarterback room. Those 2 guys that were ahead of me, Frank Nuttall and Nick Krusco, those guys were I was able to learn from that. It reminds me a lot of the situation I'm in right now with DJ and Tyrod. Guys are just very genuine, and I can sit there and learn from them and really just enjoy my time being there. And then eventually when it was my time to go, it was my time to go. But this guy, I remember him, my freshman year, from my perspective, was just this dude is big as hell. He was obviously easily the biggest tight end, if not one of the bigger people on the field. And I don't even know if he remembers this, but I remember one coaching point that they always were giving him when I was a freshman was Drew Lascari, who was our OC at the time, was just telling him
who I covered in Pequannock, by the way.
Yeah,
I covered him.
Drew is my guy. Yeah. That's my guy. I still talk to him. They were Sweeney, if you just catch the ball and just fall on the ground forward. He made him lay on the ground and showed him how much extra yards he gets if he just falls forward. That was the whole thing. I always think about that, and it made sense. But it was a long time ago, but it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Take me inside the idea of, you both went on to scholarships at D1 schools. You went to Boston College, you were at Syracuse, then transferred to Illinois, made the most of your year at Illinois, obviously, and now you guys are here. Take me a little bit through the process. We talked about this beginning of training camp. I got a story coming out about the psychology of camp, the psychology of the preseason, and what guys go through to get to this point. Yes, you're at different levels of experience in the NFL, but it's a mental game this summer. Take me through that. We'll go you first, Sweeney. Just the idea that, even though you're established and you've played in this league, how much that whole play-to-play thing really matters and kind of takes on its shape of its own in the summer for you guys.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a big mental grind as much as it is physical. It's the best of the best in the world, and there's always new guys coming in every year from college, from anywhere, from new teams, all that stuff. So it's really, you got to kind of just handle all of it and navigate through it because it's a real thing and kind of embrace it. But then at the same time, just it is a game and just go out and play as loose as possible like you did in middle school, high school, college, just because that's the only way to really do it and play free, because otherwise you're just going to kind of tighten up and, that's when mistakes happen. So it's kind of the hardest thing is the only thing, and that's just to be as calm as possible and just let it all go and just play football.
Now you hear a guy who is, going into year 5 as a 7th-round draft pick. You were undrafted, Tommy. When you're in a locker room and you have so many guys who consider themselves long shots, I mean, you've gotten to this point because you believe to be here, you belonged here, but also the business aspect of it. How has that manifested itself for you as the months have gone on since you first arrived here?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that shadow that's there. I mean, you try not to think about it because you want to just be day to day. That's kind of how I think about it, play by play, day by day kind of deal. But I mean, yeah, it's always there. At the end of the day, it's a business. Even in this locker room, I've seen people that were next to me be gone and new people in. It's just like for me, my first time seeing it, I'm like it's really happening. Everyone's like, listen, you'll get used to that. It happens everywhere. The amount of people in the locker room that have been on so many different teams, and I mean, they're still in the NFL, right? But it's just, it's a business. Things happen, moves are made, and you just got to roll with the punches and put your best foot forward.
Let's talk about each individual position rooms. You mentioned DJ and Tyrod. Tell me a little bit about DJ and Tyrod. What do you want to take from their games as far as what they bring to the table?
Yeah, I think DJ is just mindset and how he goes in. Each week, obviously, I haven't been in with him in an in-season game week to see how he prepares, but just seeing him on the field and how he prepares just for practice, let alone that, just seeing how he takes control of it and just knows everything, the ins and outs of it. And then Tyrod, just same deal with that, but he's more of just a gamer. He'll go out there and he'll just let loose and let it all go, and you can see that confidence that he brings in the huddle. So just to take little bits and pieces there and just mesh them into form my own, that's all I want to take from that.
Now, Sweeney, how do you spend your practices, especially early in camp, and not gawk over Darren Waller the way the rest of us have done?
Just try to do my thing. Obviously, he is who he is. He's real good. He's a talented player. He's a good man. He's a great man, in fact. He's having that as your leader in your room is always going to trickle down, and it has. We have a very, very deep room, a bunch of good guys and very good players, and we got a great tight end coach as well. So it's just about going out and bring your best foot every day. Honestly, it's a lot of competition, but that's good.
The fact for you coming from Buffalo, where you do have familiarity with Joe Shane, the general manager here, Brian Dable here, what did that mean for you to be able to kind of rejoin them here? I mean, most guys say, they'll always give you an opportunity, but when you have a history with guys, not that you have a leg up, but you do have something that tangible that they know about you and your game, and that's why they wanted you here.
Yeah, 100%. You kind of said it. There's not really more to it than that. I really like Joe and Dave's guys. I mean, there's tons of people in this organization that I know as well, and the offense is the same. That helps. Not having to learn a new offense, going to a new team is, it's a complex offense, as we all know. But that was huge. When Dable called me and I talked to Joe about coming in, it was because of that familiarity, and it's football, but football is also about relationships as much as it is a game, and they put a high level of importance on that, and I think that's really cool. I've only been 2 places in the league, so I don't know if everywhere does it, but that's
right.
As far as I can tell, that's what it is, and obviously they're big on that, so that was huge.
So the idea that you guys came home. I mean, this is still home for you guys. You bounce around a little bit. I know, with Boston and Buffalo, and for you, obviously, Syracuse, Illinois, you're home now. What was that process like for you guys to, once you signed here, when people started hearing that? I would imagine a lot of friends and family pretty happy with having the opportunity to see you guys here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was, when the whole draft deal was happening, I'm figuring out, okay, I'm gonna have to find a place. What am I packing with me? What am I bringing? I didn't bring nothing here, right? I'm 15 minutes away. I don't need to pack a thing. I don't need to do any of that. So it's it all worked out. But then when it happened, my friends and family, everybody here, everybody's pure excitement because most people in my area are Giants fans. So that helps.
That you coming home is a little different. You've obviously been established away. So when you come home, I assume your family's still in the area, right?
Yeah, no, it's great. And we, my parents, my grandparents, everybody's from New York. Oh, on one side is all from New York, so we've been Giants fans for a while, and grew up a Giants fan, same. And it's funny, you could be 30 other places, the Jets being one, and to end up back home is. You could be Seattle, LA, Miami, but you end up back home. It's a cool thing. It's a lot of people and a lot of friends, so it's it's a lot, but it's a lot of good at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah, you were out there today after practice, signing autographs, seeing everybody. I mean, I gotta imagine it's, hey, sweetie, I remember you when you were here, that kind of thing. We're gonna do a fun game. How Jersey are you? But it's a little fun. But just the last thing I wanted to ask you about Friday night is that I know we were talking a little bit before we started the show, what the reaction was after the fact. And when we talked after the game, I didn't have a sense, and neither did you guys, of what your phone would look like when you got back on the plane. What was it like? What was the experience? I guess, DeVito, you go first, because it's really the first time you've even dealt with anything like that at that scale. What was that like?
Yeah, phone was blown, like, beyond proportion. Names that were in my phone that I haven't heard since early years of high school. Like, I was like, wow. I was like, keeping tabs, is that the other thing? It's funny how things come full circle, and, something like that, like a play where me and him just seeing that whole community in the Big North and everybody just brings a lot of excitement, and I'm glad it was all positive.
Similar to what you dealt with?
Yeah, exactly. It was, we kind of said in the locker room, that North Jersey's going to, really love that. And they did. And it's cool, because it's very, it's a kind of very populous area. There's a lot of people, but it's very tight-knit. And then obviously that showed. And yeah, it was really cool.
Now he got the ball. Right?
Oh, did you get the ball? Nice.
I did.
Yeah, you got the ball. You got one in the game for it's real, right? So
100%. Yeah, 100%. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and it was, it's cool. I don't know how many. I mean, we'd have to look it up. I don't know when the last time a high school even went to the same high school, much less were teammates in high school, had a connection for a touchdown. I mean, in the NFL, I wouldn't imagine it's been for a while. So
right.
So that's really cool.
It's very cool. All right. How Jersey are you? Favorite diner? Go-to diner when you come back to Jersey? You got one?
I'm going State Line, 100%.
On State Line. There's a new one that just got redone right here in Harrison. It's not the TikTok diner.
I know what you're talking about.
Top's Diner. Top's Diner right here in Harrison just got redone. Okay. I didn't believe my mom when she said she needs to make a reservation. I'm like, for a diner. This is when I got done draft training and all that, and she picked me up in Newark. She's like, we're going to go to the diner. I'm like, all right, cool. She's like, we're going to Top's Diner. We need to make a reservation. I'm like, what? Went in there. It's unbelievable.
All right, so what do you order?
State Line, I usually go with the buff shake sandwich.
Sound about right?
Yeah. I mean, depends what time you're going to the diner. If I go, I usually get breakfast. Like, if I go later on at night or something, I'll get some kind of Belgian waffle, like an ice cream sundae, whole deal.
Nice. All right. People always bring up the Jersey Shore, especially with you when you came out with the chain in the spring, that whole look. Jersey Shore, the show, yay or nay?
I don't know. I think back then that was kind of the reality, but times have changed now. I mean, I feel like in early years of high school, we were going to Seaside and that whole deal. Yeah, but I think we're a little beyond that now.
How about you? You didn't know?
It's fine, it's not, like you said, it's not exactly how it is, but ain't nothing wrong with it.
All right. If you had to go to Shore Town, Jersey Shore Town, where you wanted to go now, where would it be?
Manasquan.
Yeah, so I'd probably go Stone Harbor, LBI, go a little farther down.
Okay. Cool. All right. Last one of this, and then I'll get one at the end. You know what? Let me do this one first. What was your favorite Bosco football moment?
My favorite Bosco football moment? I mean, mine was the state championship for sure.
And that was here?
That was here at MetLife, yeah.
So you're getting back in that stadium for the first time since that game?
Yeah.
On Friday night?
Yep.
That should be pretty
first
cool.
time on the field, yeah, since
What do you think comes back? What do you
15?
think comes back in your head when you step inside that stadium?
I don't know. It's a lot of things. It could be now I'm thinking about it, probably exactly where I was sitting on that bench, where I went when we scored our touchdown, the first touchdown, the last touchdown, just that moment, and just soaking in that experience. Because I remember in that game, they did have the Giants banners up. It wasn't like the Jets field set up for the Giants field as well. I have some pictures with that, which is cool. But it really just, being in the same place but in a different uniform.
How about you, Tom?
It's kind of a cop-out answer. I couldn't say one moment because I just loved every second of it. But I just say how special it is. The fact we're teammates now, I'm still so close with all my buddies that were in my class and other classes as well. I still talked to them yesterday, so that part of it, and that aspect of it is special. So,
all right, second to last question. A lot has been made about Brian Dable and how fiery he is. Obviously, you know how fiery he is for more than he does. But I got to ask you, Greg Toll, one of the fieriest coaches in New Jersey history, also one of the most decorated high school coaches at Bosco and Hackensack, my alma mater, by the way. Toll, Dable, compare, contrast for me in terms of sideline mannerisms, attitude, personality. What do you think?
I think they have similarities, but I think when I had Coach Toll, it was in different times of like what's going on in this world at the time where certain things were allowed back then that are not necessarily allowed now. So I can't really compare them, but I do see similarities in how they get fired up, and I think that's part of it, and it brings out good in the team.
Definitely would echo what Tommy said. I'd say Toll is a little more consistently fiery. Dave's is consistent, and and then he'll get fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he'll kind of come back down. So it's close. It's close. Different levels and stuff like that. Like you said, they're both pretty fired. Because Toll's maybe a little fired, but they're both get rolling, and they're both about all the right things and good guys. All love at the end of the day.
At this point, obviously heading into preseason week 2, it's all about staying here, right? All about staying power, wanting to be here, wanting to be on this team by any means necessary. So obviously for you guys, great first Friday night, but you've had a great camp to this point. I wish you guys both well. Thanks for joining me on the show. And as I say every week, we're all in. We appreciate you all in. And these guys are all in Jersey. So when you can go all the way back to Bosco, it's always appreciated for them to be here and, keep rooting on the Jersey guys.
Appreciate it.